Alright. I'm recording on two different programs to see which one sounds better. I know they're both going to sound garbage, but I'm testing to see which one will work better. So, human nature. And how people aren't using the term correctly. It is human nature to bicker, fight, quarrel, love, hate, and everything in between those two. I disagree. While some of those can be attributed to human nature, it isn't all human nature. While yes, you see this kind of behavior in territorial animals, you don't really see it amongst social creatures. I mean, I remember, for example, even on the insect level, all of them fighting each other, ooh, it's a constant battle, yeah, all these documentaries say that. But I recently found one with David Attenborough doing the voiceover for it, and being there too as well. It was this thing about wood ants. Now, wood ants, their life cycle is basically fight other wood ants off to take more territory until it's been, set. These are the borders. Get your resources, get food, kill, yada yada yada. And for the queens, hatch, grow into an adult, find each other and mate, or kill each other during the process, because, yeah, once a queen has mated, they are no longer welcome at their hive and will be killed immediately if found by other ants. Furthermore, when they go out to find a new hive, they become they are parasitic. The queens are generally parasitic. They will invade the nests of other ants that they can actually take on, like typically field ants, apparently, by the following isolated worker ants, catching them, getting some scent off them, and then leaving until they finally have a sort of camouflage. Then they go into the hive, completely undetected because they smell like they're supposed to be there, kill off the actual queen, and then all the other ants in the hive just fall in line, and will take care of her until they all die and are replaced by her brood. However, in this same area, a bit further up, further up the mountain that we were doing this documentary on, there is a super colony of wood ants. All these ants work together in community. Typically, what we've seen in nature for wood ants is that, no, they fight each other. That's their nature. But no. There is a super colony comprised of a whole bunch of wood ant colonies, because that's what a super colony is, and they're all working together. And while their initial reaction is enemy to an extent, they don't fight with each other. They work together. If one wood ant from a colony gets lost and it gets lost a long way away from home, and they come across another colony from the super colony, while initially they will be met with like, hey, who are you? What are you doing? They will if one asks the other for food, it's going to get it. This is an example of where in nature, something we believe to be their nature, to be insect nature, fight each other, kill each other, or grow, breed, produce, die, has been proven wrong by nature. In the same way, a lot of people claim that it is human nature to not get along, to fight, to be greedy, to want more, to hate, yada 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 yada, all that crap. But in the case of us social animals, with specifically humans, it is not in our nature to be like this. You put two kids from different countries in the same room, they might have altercations because one wants something the other does, but that's not their nature to fight. They don't believe in racist ideas, that the other child is different from them, until the people teaching them introduce the idea that this other person is not like them, is different from them. Children do not see in black and white all these differences, all these colors. No. Not until they are taught to pay attention to these small details that mean essentially nothing. Until they are taught these things, they see people as the same as them. No different. This is, in part, why children need to be protected. Because as adults, we've been taught to see all these differences. We've been taught to think differently about each other. Raised into these ideas that they're not the same as me because their skin's a bit a different color, because they have more pigment or less pigment. I don't like them. They're evil. Now, I'm not saying everyone teaches their children like that, but I'm saying that's the basic gist of it. To not trust other people. To be against your fellow men, women, and children. Children don't do wrong to each other until the idea that they can, or even should, is introduced to them. Or, worse yet, ingrained into their mindset, into their psyche. So, now I'm going to talk about the actual source, in my opinion, of this topic that I am now discussing. First, why I'm recording this. Dr. Fauci was talking on the news in a one-to-one interview, of course, over the internet, about the current state of the coronavirus. And this is on today's date, which is August 10th, 2020. Or, if you prefer, August 10th, 2020. And he said something I don't agree with. Because he was being asked, with all the infections going on, since states have been reopening schools, having children go to school without masks, what the heck? No, don't do that. Shouldn't even be in the buildings in the first place, because pandemic. He was asked if getting them down to the numbers that he has stated, that Dr. Fauci has stated, will be when the virus is manageable enough to start doing things again pre-pandemic, which was about 10,000 cases. I don't know if that's overall or a day, but even so, I'm pretty certain it's overall as opposed to each day, because there are double-digit thousands of cases happening on a daily basis here in the United States. Side note on that, unfortunately, we aren't as united as one would hope. The word united being in our country's name would imply. So, now, returning to... Oh wait, yeah. Sorry, I apologize. My mind skipped from one point to the next, forgot the connection. So, the connection between me recording this and hearing what Dr. Fauci said is that he said, I understand human nature, people want to do... It's not necessarily going to work out as easily as people will be smart and not think, me want what me want, me get what me want, me no listen you because you no want me do because problems happen or likely to happen if me do. Me ape brain, me smart, me very smart. That kind of thing. Now I want to perfect my gorilla hoot noise. Anyways, so, I completely disagree with that statement. That it won't be like that because of human nature. That it won't necessarily work out that well or easily because of human nature. I do not agree with this, because these people wanting to open up the schools, these people wanting to put their children back in the schools, these people not wanting to put on masks, yada yada yada, all the stuff that is why people keep getting infected. The primary reason why people keep getting infected, because they don't want to do these things, is simple. Human ignorance. Not human nature. Human ignorance. Now, what is ignorance? Well, as I'm going to quickly pull up a dictionary, because I'm recording this on my computer and I don't have a dictionary in my room at the moment, or I do, and it's buried under another stack of books. Ignorance. Noun. Lack of knowledge or information. The example, he acted in ignorance of basic procedures. Now, ignorance, human ignorance, is not just lacking understanding or knowledge. Because if you don't know something, you don't understand something. A child who's taught that black people are evil is ignorant to the fact that no, they aren't evil people. They're just a different skin color. You shouldn't be focusing on their skin color because they're still people. Look at them as a person, not as a black person. Because what is the most important part of that statement? Person. Not black, not white, not Asian, not African, whatever. The important part of it is the word person. But there is also another facet to human ignorance. Not just not knowing better, or being misinformed, or not informed at all. Chosen ignorance. Now, chosen ignorance is not quite the same as in the dictionary definition, where you lack the knowledge or information. which can be caused by being misinformed, not told at all, or never being introduced to it. Though I believe I just said something redundant, regardless. Chosen ignorance is when you are introduced to information or knowledge, or you already are aware of this information, but you choose to completely disregard it as if it is nothing. This is something that people do with the Bible, for example. Yes, I am a Christian, but no, that is not the main part of it. It's just a detail. People also do this when how they employ it. Now, honestly, I could go on about how people over the course of history have either abused the Bible for their own ends or chosen to ignore parts of it to hold some belief that they want to have. For example, and yes, I include the Torah as a Bible. It may not be the Christian Holy Bible, but it is essentially the same thing. A work of text about God. Now, in both, they say, currently there's some big hubbub in Israel or whichever place it is, where they are throwing out and killing off, generally just horribly mistreating the, I don't remember what they're called, unfortunately. I don't think about this subject because my mom talks about how upset she is with Israel acting exactly the same as the Nazis did towards the Jews. Or was it Jerusalem? Doesn't matter. Jerusalem is a part of it. Why am I so mixed up today? Regardless. The problem is that they bring up this old part of the religious text that says that they are supposed to kill these people, supposed to wipe them out. But the thing is, they didn't. According to their text, God told them, wipe out these people. This home is yours. Eliminate these people. And what did they do? They took their home, but they didn't eliminate them. They intermarried. It's just, long story short, because I can't be bothered to go into the conversation with my mom at the moment, they didn't do as God commanded. In fact, they completely ignored what he said to change it to their own interpretation of it. And as in the beginning, God created the heavens, earth, man and woman. When Adam and Eve ate the apple, they were told, don't do this. But they did it anyways and got kicked out. And they were never allowed to come back to the garden. So when these people are saying, oh, we're supposed to kill them off. No, you're not. You didn't do it you didn't do what you were told to do in the first place. You don't get to come back later and say, oh, we were told to do this, we have to do this. No. That's not how God works. You didn't listen to him, you deal with the repercussions of that. You don't get to have a do-over because you suddenly decided out of the blue, oh, we're going to do it right this time. No. You get the one chance, and that's it. And you didn't. Not that I'm condoning the murder of people or a culture. Simply saying that when they are using the religious text to lie, which is blasphemy, quite plain. That is an example of chosen ignorance. They are choosing to ignore the fact that they did not follow, that their ancestors did not follow God's command in the first place, and so they have to deal with the repercussions. But now they are choosing to ignore that fact to do it anyways, which is completely wrong. It is not human nature to commit wrong against our brothers and sisters, no matter where they come from, what their lineage, what they look like, what they think, act, or do. It is in our nature to be together, to commune, to communicate, to want to be with each other. But it is also in our nature to care about each other. And in this modern civilized era, part of caring about each other is looking out for each other's safety, be it your physical health, social health, mental health, which is an entire discussion for another day, and general well-being. However, many of us do not do this. And it is not because it is human nature to think only of yourself. That is not, if you believe in God, how we are supposed to be. If you're a Buddhist, that is not how we are going to be better people, how we are going to transcend this world. It is, if I'm remembering Buddhist teachings correctly. I might not be fully remembering. This is not any religion's teachings to just hurt each other because we can. And in all of these myths and legends, folklore, yada yada yada, people don't want to hurt each other. They screw up, and that is the result. But it is not in our nature to do harm to each other, to screw up as horribly as we do. No. It is in our ignorance that these things happen. Because we either lack the understanding through misinformation, never being introduced to it, or just being completely unaware. It is when we choose to ignore these things, to ignore the reality of life, the world around us, the people around us, the situation of what we are having to deal with, in favor of our own selfishness, which is ignorance of others, our greed, in short, our anger, ignorance of the truth, our envy, ignorance of what we have in favor of what another has. It is in ignorance that we falter, that we fall, that we fail, that we hurt each other, and in the end, ourselves. Some people believe that you can remove this disease through prayer. And that's it. No. This is ignorance of the fact, religious ignorance, that we no longer live in the age of miracles where he would do all sorts of things for us and to us. No. It is the modern era, where we are waiting. Again, this is if you are a Christian. If you believe this, or any religious beliefs that believe in God and in the religious texts. He no longer will do things for us. He will give us the means, but we have to be the ones to see it. And I'm quite proficient in being completely oblivious to this until after the fact. But my prayers have, at times, been answered. I know this is almost a half-hour long, a rant, or whatever you want to call it, but the one thing I want to leave you with is this. It is not human nature to do wrong, to ignore, to damage ourselves and others because we don't feel like doing something, or we want to do this thing. It is in our ignorance of others, of our world, be it chosen or not, that we do harm each other, that we harm ourselves, and that the coronavirus continues to spread like wildfire. And though the percentage isn't necessarily large, the number is still large. Even if, on the grand scale, it is nothing. The problem is the number, not the percentage. And if we truly care about our fellow men, women, and children, about other people, and ourselves, if we truly care, we will do everything we can to take precautions, to be careful, to listen, and to think before we act out of spite, desire, or because we don't know better, or choose to not believe better. Thank you for listening. Whenever this goes up, take care of yourselves. Goodbye.